Hello, hope you're doing well. My name is Rafael Jimenez, and I'm an undergraduate student from the University of Puerto Rico and my West Campus. As part of the class of English 3236, the purpose of the assignment is to present an environment problem that is occurring right now in Puerto Rico. My presentation is about the contamination that Vieques once had and still is showing. That's why I chose the title Vieques Contamination, The Lost Paradise. Now, that I explained to you some of the details of this presentation, let's begin. Now, the main idea of this presentation is to talk about some of the problems that Vieques once had and still is showing until this day. Like all of you know, Vieques is one of the island's municipalities of Puerto Rico. Vieques has some of the most beautiful beaches in all Puerto Rico. It's an amazing island that many people like to go and visit also to invest in properties. But since the Vieques has its problems, for starters, Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States. By the 1960s that I soon going to talk about, Vieques has been a military testing land from the United States. These practices led to contamination on grounds because all the used equipment like chemicals and explosives lay right there. With all this contamination, Vickers have some critical areas and chemicals that lead to diseases and destruction of Vickers fields. So, we as Puerto Ricans must guide the people and fight to defend the lands of Vieques to at least make a difference for the sake of this island. Now, you can see in this photo or in these maps, Puerto Rico, and to and the left side there's a map of Puerto Rico. On the map, you can see the red circle right here. That Vegas right there. Yeah, that's the island of Vegas. So now you can see the location of Vegas. It's the southeast of Puerto Rico. Now on the right side of the slide, there's a map of the island of Vegas. It you can look close enough. It seems that the island of Vegas is divided in four parts, starting from the left side to right. You can see the here in the left side, there's a Navy ammunition storage area, and that area is where all the military storage and all the equipment is and stuff like that carried away or in storage. In the middle area, you can see where the civilization lives and all the community. Next to the civilization, you can see the Navy military fields or lands, and you can see that it has a lot of area that occupies Vieques. It's a very large area. And next to that area is the fire range where all some equipment and all explosives and guns are tested right there for explosions and whatsoever. Like I mentioned earlier, Puerto Rico is one of the most touristic places in the Caribbean because of the beautiful beaches, exquisite cuisine, and interesting culture. But one of the reasons Puerto Rico has many tourists is because Puerto Rico is a commonwealth of the United States. By the 1960s, Puerto Rico grown in thanks to industrialization, creating petrochemical plants and oil transshipment. Now, by the 1980s, Puerto Rico stopped the focus in industrialization and started in tourism, but they face environmental conflicts. Vacations not only want to reduce or eliminate the protected area, the wilderness designation, but also want to eliminate 60 years of military contamination and to receive compensation for ill health resulting from their exposure to toxic. There is evidence that toxic substances have relation with the disease that are in Vieques thanks to practice of military equipment. Yeah, Vieques has been a large exposure of toxics and lead to many diseases like cancer and that I'm going to talk about much later. But all these toxic substances and chemicals lead to many diseases like cancer and other problems that's really important and critical. And there have been many discussion on ways to clean up and make it bomb free for residents of vehicles to feel much safer. But there's been a choice of the open fire that literally is like it says open fire. This technique is really used in many areas. It's really recommended in for many strategies. Here in particular we use it a lot, but in this case it's really dangerous because all the explosives that these areas can have. And according to Dr. Neftali Garcia Martinez, that the open fire in the invitation is not a good idea because there's many areas that have contaminants and bombs that still can sum up and create an involuntary explosion. So this technique is very critical, it's very dangerous, but and it's not recommended. So we cannot use that technique. Now, the purpose of this presentation is to guide the people and many Puerto Ricans to create new solutions and ways to make free of contaminants and establish a better area for tourists in Vieques. Yeah, we need to guide people and to let know that yeah, it still exists, that still in Vieques there are contaminants. In the early 2000s, there's always protest and many people was not happy of this occurrence in Vieques. Many people got arrested of this because of this. So we need to guide all Puerto Ricans and people to make this area better. It's not a very recommended area to live. It's very dangerous. We need to save Vegas. On this slide, you can see all the contaminants from the military equipment that still lies right there. Now you can you can see it right now and still exists right now. It's not fair that the military of the United States practice their equipment and all their guns and explosives and still and throw it away like it's trash. Like they don't care if it's dangerous for the people that live around there, all the vegetation that lives right there. Look at all that. That can lead to many contaminants. Can too many exposure of this can be so deadly for all environment. On this slide, you can see the types of contaminants that are in Vieques that have many large amounts of chemicals because of the practice of military equipment. Here are copper, nickel, cobalt, and lead. I'm very gonna focus more on lead because lead is very dangerous to your body. Too many exposure of this chemical can can create more many diseases and can be very deadly for you and for the environment. Lead it's used for guns and explosives. Yeah, all that material that is made in the guns and the bullets, it's made of lead. And many exposure of this chemical can kill you or create cancer or other diseases. On this slide, you can see the protest that it was in Vegas. It was nearly late 90s, early 2000s. It was really like 4 years of protest. You can see that the left photo says "Stop terrorizing Vegas," and people laying right out, holding each other like we're gonna not gonna leave here until you make something or propose something to stop the horror of Vieques of practice of military equipment and explosive. And many people got arrested from this and brutally accused. And now to this day, it's been like that, and still Vieques is contaminated and has many explosives and dangerous chemicals. So we need to again propose to clean Vieques and make it make the people want to fight for Vieques. It's not fair. Now may you be wondering, but how Vieques is contaminated? And so before I can answer that, you must know how groundwater works. So it's like a cycle. The groundwater cycle is basically it's like when it rains or when it has rivers or something like that. That water goes through the soil and pass to the ground to the underground, right? And find its way to go to the sea. So then, the cycle of water, when it rains, or all that water that rains is from the sea. So yeah, it's like a cycle, like goes down water, goes to the ground, through the soil, underground, and goes back to the sea. So that water vaporizes and creates clouds and something like that. Now, now that I showed you the groundwater cycle, what happens that it's getting interrupted by waste disposal, like in this cycle. So the same cycle, but include the disposal. So all the disposals that are in the ground goes through the soil and underground and goes and expands to all underground, like to the river or to the sea. So that creates a very large contaminated area. And this table shows you the reasons why people travel to Vieques. So, yeah, to know how many people travel and why they travel. So, the reasons why people travel, the major reasons to medical appointments. Yeah, I didn't know that. It's very interesting. So, many people travel to Vieques is because medical appointments. And the second reason why people travel to Vegas is shopping. Yeah. The third one is to visit. Then goes traveling, work, school, or others. So this why many people travel to Vegas, and it's very important because that's why how many people are in Vegas and why they travel. On this slide, there's another table, and this table is to know the types of cancer occurs in Vegas, and this many cases is because of relation with the contamination in the fields of Vegas and exposure of many chemicals, like I said. And this table is about two reports that was made, one in 97 and one in 2000, of the period of years from the 60s to 81 and to 94. So there's a difference of 5 years. You can see that in the first report, the most cases of cancer is prostate cancer, then is breast cancer, lung cancer, and colon cancer is one of the largest biggest cases in the report of 97, but then in the report of 2000, there's like the double of cases. Prostate cancer almost 76 cases, breast cancer 56 cases, and lung cancer, colon cancer. Yeah, this it's very sad. It's very sad that many cases has occurred in Vegas, and there's no. It's almost logical, or it, it can be interpreted because of the cases of contamination of the equipment and the exposure of many chemicals. So some solutions to propose is not to use the open fire method, like I said, because this can create explosions, unnecessary explosions. The second solution can be change in the current public agency policy, recognizing the link between the military practices with health problems and pollution in Vieques, and publicly announce the determination caused by the group of Puerto Rican experts. The third solution is more reliable because we need to inform the people and Puerto Ricans about this situation. So we must guide this generation to take action and make Vegas a new municipality and a better island. So it's been a pleasure to give you my presentation about Vieques, and I hope in the future we can make a change and to make Vieques a better island that it is. It's a beautiful island, and we must fight of the rights of the environment of Vieques. Good day and thank you.